playing cards, eating waffles, and watching Walker, Texas Ranger. Hey everybody! Today in One Word at a Time, we are looking at the word own, which is found in John chapter 1 verse 11, which reads, "He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him." Growing up, I always loved going to my grandma's house. I must have been at her house 3 weekends a month, playing cards, eating waffles, and watching Walker, Texas Ranger. Those were the sweet, sweet days right there. What I loved most about going to grandma's though, was that I was always welcome. The door was always open. There were times I arrived at 3 a.m. and she would have the door cracked open a little bit so I could get in with a little nice snack on the kitchen table so I could munch before I fell asleep. There were also times when I would have to get up ridiculously early to be somewhere, and she'd get up, make sure I was awake, cook a little breakfast, and then see me off. Regardless of how convenient, Grandma always welcomed me, simply because I was her grandson, her own flesh and blood. There was nothing she wouldn't do to help me. This type of family welcoming is what Jesus should have received when he came to the world. After all, he was coming to his own creation, his own people. We know this isn't what he experienced. The Israelites had become God's people through something called a covenant. In short, a covenant is a God-initiated contract between himself and people. And the basics of this first agreement were simple. Israel got to have God Almighty as their personal God, and God got to have the Israelites as his own special possession. God's part of the deal was to take care of them, to provide for all their provisions and their protection. And the only requirement placed upon the Israelites was to live life the way God wanted them to live it, to live by his standards, to let him set the rules. The entire Old Testament is essentially the playing out of this covenant. You see God continually keeping his end of the deal while his own people struggle to keep their own part. But seeing their struggles weighed heavily on God. These people were his prized possession, the apple of his eye, and he couldn't bear to see them being kept away from all that he had for them. To solve this problem once and for all, God decided to make another covenant with his people. Rather than requiring adherence to a long list of rules, God required only one thing: faith in Jesus. With his second covenant, God didn't just make it easier, he also sweetened the deal. Not only would God be with anyone who entered the covenant, now he would be living inside of every person who entered the covenant. God would now lead his people from within, enabling them to capture the full life he had created for them to possess. Being God's own comes with immeasurable blessings. And the amazing part of Christmas is that this offer is extended to everyone. Through this second covenant, any person can become God's own, a status that is better than anything we can possibly dream or imagine. Will you let God claim you as his own today? I'll see you tomorrow.